To every black man, to every black woman, to the children born in America, but with Africa still flowing in their blood, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has a message. And it's not a gentle one. It's not polite. It's not watered down for comfort. It's a truth the world tried to bury. But now, the ground is shaking. You were told Africa was poor. You were told it was backward, broken, and helpless. You were shown starving children, dirt roads, and war-torn images. But you were never shown the kingdoms. You were never told about the empires, the libraries of Timbuktu, the gold mines of Mali, the warriors of Dahomey, the architects of Kush. They didn't tell you the truth because the truth would reconnect you. And if you were reconnected, you would become unstoppable. They looted our lands. They poisoned our leaders. They made us slaves in our own soil. But we are not victims anymore, and neither are you. When Captain Ibrahim Traoré took the stage, he didn't just speak to Africa. He sent a ripple across oceans, to every black person in the United States who's ever felt lost, who's ever felt like a stranger in both worlds. This message is for you. You were separated, intentionally. Colonizers made sure you would never look back to Africa with pride. They erased the connection so you wouldn't see a continent rising. They renamed you. They reprogrammed you. They told you that Africa was the past. But what if Africa is your future? You are not descendants of slaves. You are descendants of kidnapped kings, queens, engineers, writers, scientists, and fighters. They didn't steal slaves. They created them after they stole you. Captain Ibrahim Traoré isn't just a man. He's a symbol. At only 34, he stood up against French imperialism and said, "Enough." He told his people, "This is our gold, our land, our blood, and no foreign power will own it again." His words were bold, but more than that, they were dangerous, because boldness, in a black man, who leads, that terrifies the world order. And Traoré didn't ask for permission. He didn't wait for approval. He moved, and millions felt the shift. He said, "To our brothers and sisters in America, we see you, we haven't forgotten you, and it's time you remember us." Imagine that, a head of state, calling you family. You who were born in the Bronx, in Detroit, in Houston, he's calling you home, not in geography, but in spirit, because unity is power, and disunity is their profit. Why do you think they flood your communities with guns, but starve them of opportunity? Why are the textbooks full of European conquerors, but empty of African heroes? Because if you ever knew the truth, if you ever remembered where you come from, you'd stop asking for a seat at their table and build your own. Traoré knows this. So did Sankara. So did Lumumba. And every one of them who spoke too loudly was silenced. But this time, Traoré is not alone. If you're young and black in America, you've already been lied to. You've been told you don't matter, that your skin is a threat, that your history begins in chains. But Traoré says, no, your history began in freedom, in creation, in greatness, and it's time to return to that. He's not asking you to pack a bag. He's asking you to pick up your pride, to remember who you are. Because being African is not about where you are. It's about who you are. There is a storm rising, not of war, but of awakening. Young Africans are reclaiming their land, their voice, their future, and they are calling to you, the African American, the Afro-Caribbean, the Afro-Brazilian, the lost but not forgotten. Join us, not to fight, but to build. Together, we can create a world where the black child in Chicago and the black child in Ouagadougou dream the same dream, not of escape, but of elevation. We will no longer beg. We will no longer wait. Africa is rising, and our family overseas, you are not guests. You are not visitors. You are part of this. To all black people in America, you are more than survivors. You are more than a struggle. You are more than what they made you believe. You are Africa, in exile, but not forgotten. Traoré remembers you. Africa remembers you. And now, it's your turn to remember yourself. You were never meant to be disconnected. You were meant to rise, together. Disconnection isn't just about borders. It's about broken spirits. It's about the pain of looking in the mirror and asking, where do I truly belong? It's in the way a black child in America grows up learning about Martin Luther King, but never hears the name of Thomas Sankara. It's in how African children memorize the Eiffel Tower, but don't know the names of their own tribal languages. This is not by accident. This is a system built on stolen identity. And now, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a man younger than most presidents, is standing at the gate of history and saying, "It ends now." In Africa today, something has shifted. It's not loud yet, but it's unstoppable. The youth are no longer waiting for Europe to save them. They're no longer begging for a seat at a broken table. They are building their own. Africa is no longer begging for loans. It's demanding respect, and it's reclaiming what was always ours: dignity. The spirit of Nkrumah is rising, the wisdom of Mandela is echoing, and the courage of Thomas Sankara lives again, in men like Traore. But it cannot stop in Africa alone, because the African dream is not complete until you, our brothers and sisters abroad, join in. To the artists, the rappers, the actors, to the millionaires with African roots but American addresses. Africa is not asking for charity. Africa is asking for partnership. Imagine if instead of buying another chain, we built a hospital in Senegal. Imagine if instead of chasing record deals, we owned recording studios in Ghana. If instead of being brands for corporations, we became brands of culture for Africa. Captain Traoré is building a new Burkina Faso. But what are you building? Where are your hands in this legacy? This isn't just about today. It's about healing the wounds of centuries. Your great-grandmothers were torn from the motherland. Your grandfathers fought in wars for countries that never loved them. You were born in a world that told you you were less. But you are the bridge. You are the generation that can finally close the gap. You are the first to have the technology, the access, the voice, to reach back across the ocean and say, we're coming home, not just in body, but in purpose. This is what Traoré is fighting for, not just Burkina Faso, not just West Africa, but the black soul, everywhere it lives. Unity is not a dream. It's already happening. There are brothers from Atlanta building tech companies in Kenya. There are sisters from Harlem creating art schools in Lagos. There are farmers, teachers, writers, and investors who have stopped seeing Africa as foreign and started seeing it as home base. You see, the world fears a united black people because united, we don't just survive. We lead, we build, we set the agenda. And in that world, we are no longer consumers of culture. We are the creators of it. That's what Traoré envisions. That's what Sankara dreamed. And that's what you can help fulfill. Africa does not need saving. Africa is saving itself. What we need is solidarity. Not pity, but partnership. Not shame, but shared strength. Not guilt, but growth. And what Black America needs is not another hashtag, not another march, but a connection, a spiritual and economic connection, to the land that birthed you before you even had a name. Do you remember who you are? You come from builders, from mathematicians, philosophers, and healers. You come from Nile Valley civilizations that existed before Rome even knew the word empire. They told you Africa was behind, but Africa was always ahead. We lost that when we were separated, when they sold you into chains, and when they sold us into silence. But now we remember, and when you remember your origin, you reclaim your future. Traoré is not perfect, he's not a savior, but he is a spark, a fire, a signal to the world that something has changed. He is showing us that black leadership doesn't need permission, that we can speak truth to power, and power will tremble. He is showing African children that you don't need to look to France or the US for pride. You can look within. And he is showing black people in America that Africa is not something to run from. It is something to run toward. So what do you do with this message? You listen, you learn, and then you act. You can visit, you can invest, you can teach, you can create, you can reconnect. Because in the eyes of Africa, you were never lost, only waiting. Traoré's message is simple. We are stronger together than they ever were in dividing us. And that power, it's yours now, to carry, to protect, to share. You've cried enough. You've fought enough. You've begged long enough. Now, it's time to build, to heal, to rise. Because when we remember where we come from, we finally understand where we're meant to go. Captain Ibrahim Traoré gave the message. Now it's your turn to answer it.